Hey folks, before you watch the video, this is a quick warning that this video contains spoilers for Jurassic World Rebirth. If you plan on seeing the movie and don't want spoilers, then you might want to click off right now. However, if you don't care for spoilers or you already saw the movie, then you're safe to proceed. Without further ado, let's get the show on the roll. This is it, everybody. The endgame movie of the Jurassic franchise. Jurassic World Dominion, 2022. The endgame movie. Okay. Can you please stop playing that? Besides, this joke was already done in another video. Hey guys, this is JoAnn speaking here, and welcome to Paleo Reviews. So, I'm late as heck to the party with this movie, but the reason there was no upload of this review sooner was because after uploading 10 videos during the month of Jurassic June, I decided to take a break. Not only that, but I went on vacation to Chicago to attend G-Fest for the very first time. I only attended days 2 and 3, but holy crap. As a Godzilla fan, I've been wanting to go there for a very long time, and it was a lot of fun. I'll do a video of my experience when the time comes, but it will be late though. I also got to check out the Field Museum and see Sue herself for the first time as well. Not gonna lie when I say this, but seeing Sue took my breath away. Again, there will be a video on this. The good news is that during my time in Chicago, I finally was able to see Jurassic World Rebirth in 3D. So, what's this movie about? Jurassic World Rebirth takes place 5 years after Dominion. A lot of surviving dinosaurs are dying off due to most of Earth becoming difficult for them to live on. Although there are some survivors, we get a new set of characters named Zora, Dr. Henry Loomis, and Duncan. They are on a mission to collect DNA from the largest living prehistoric animals on Earth. There's also another group of characters who's a family trying to stay alive, and they get dragged into the mess. We also get a look at the story behind the island called Ile St. Hubert, which, as it turns out to be the place where scientific experiments were conducted. Failed experiments and those deemed unsuitable were left on this island, and the intro of the movie showed the downfall of this facility where an employee was killed by a mutated Tyrannosaurus called Distortus Rex. And as for the characters, Zora, played by Scarlett Johansson, is a troubled mercenary who took the mission on collecting DNA to get a paycheck, but she's still someone who has standards, especially when lives are threatened. Dr. Henry Loomis is a paleontologist who sees dinosaurs as living animals rather than entertainment and has been wanting to see one in its natural environment. Duncan is also a mercenary and a friend of Zora. Despite being hurt from a tragedy he had in his own life, he's still polite and is willing to help those in danger. We also get several other characters including Martin, who's the human antagonist of the movie, and the Delgado family, who are rescued from a shipwreck and gets put in more danger during the progress. Now then, what do I think of this movie? Honestly, it really wasn't that bad in my opinion. I still have concerns/problems about it though, but other than that, it was pretty on par with Jurassic Park 3 from 2001, which by the way, I need to update my Sickle Claw ratings for all the Jurassic movies in a future video. Back when this movie released its first trailer, I didn't think I was going to enjoy this one because I was originally salty about it. The arc of Jurassic World technically closed with Dominion. Heck, the poster even said, the epic conclusion of the Jurassic era. However, as time went on, I began to calm down and it was like, okay, maybe there has to be some kind of value. Of course, I give it a chance, and looking back at this movie, it's more of a standalone sequel. On top of that, the ultimate fates surrounding Rexy, Blue, Owen, Claire, the original Jurassic Park characters, etc. remain unknown. Although at one point, Dr. Grant was mentioned by one of the newer characters. Now, this movie being a standalone sequel, it makes sense. I have no issues with those kinds of movies, but at the same time, because the story of Jurassic World ended technically with Dominion, I don't consider it a Jurassic World movie. It's just a movie set in the same universe, but with a completely new focus and story. I had a friend tell me one time that they should have had the title be something like Jurassic Rebirth, and honestly, that sounds even better. Also, it's ironic how Dominion ended on a high note while Rebirth tossed that out the window. This movie also feels more like a park movie than a world movie. With that out of the way, there are good things about this movie, and there's plenty to talk about. First thing I like about this movie is the story. The story pretty much goes back to the original roots of the old Jurassic Park movies, where a group of characters go to an island full of dinosaurs, crap goes down, and they try to escape. Fallen Kingdom did something like that as well. The story in Rebirth is like the older movies, but it still works for me because it's more simple and straightforward rather than a jumbled up mess. This really is like a Jurassic Park movie, but with a sci-fi twist to it thanks to the existence of mutants and genetic experiments gone terribly wrong. In a way, because we had hybrid dinosaurs in 2 Jurassic World movies, Camp Cretaceous, and in other Jurassic media, it makes sense. Although I could still see why it's questionable for people who feel like that kind of stuff is still too weird for a Jurassic movie. It took me a bit to get used to some crazy stuff including Distortus Rex and the Mutodons before I saw the movie, but I still like the story regardless. It's like the folks behind it looked at the Chaos Effect toy line, the cancelled Lost World anime series, and Project Evolution and then got inspired to make a Jurassic movie. Although thank goodness there are no human dino hybrids. Another thing I enjoyed about Rebirth is that, just like Dominion, they continue to add stuff with some of the dinosaurs that's based off real research done by paleontologists. Here's some examples. Tyrannosaurus Rex is naturally bulky, and the movie gave the new Rex individual more bulk around the body. Also, don't get in the water because they can swim. The Spinos in the movie may be different in appearance from the original Spino from Jurassic Park 3, but their designs were also based off some of the most recent studies on this animal. They also gave Mosasaurus a more proper tail too. I also like seeing Dolores. She's really adorable, and plus she's a brand new dinosaur being introduced into a Jurassic movie, specifically Aqualops. Considering that poor Isabella witnessed someone getting brutally slaughtered by a Spinosaurus and had to deal with a Mosasaurus, she definitely needed a little friend to remind her that not all dinosaurs are scary. Let's not forget about the soundtrack for this movie. With the previous 3 Jurassic World movies, Michael Giacchino did the music. However, with Rebirth, Alexander Desplat steps in to compose the music for the movie. As expected with any Jurassic movie, the music expresses the feelings of wonder, excitement, bittersweetness, and danger. Of course, you're going to expect it to be epic too. Also, if there's one thing I really appreciate about the soundtrack is that the title names were slightly less silly to read. I'm bringing this up because, well, look at some of the names of the soundtracks for Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. March of the Wheatley Cavalcade, Keep Calm and Bury Onyx, Gyro, Can You Go, Upsy Maisie, This Dotson Burns Bright, The Plane in the Cycle, You're Making Me Woozy, Gotta Shut Down the Blah Blah Blah. Sorry. At least I can read the Rebirth soundtrack titles without either raising my eyebrows or laughing my head off. Last but not least, I really enjoyed the river raft scene. Definitely one of the best scenes from the movie, and it's one of my favorites too. Clearly it was inspired by a scene from the original Jurassic Park novel by Michael Crichton, which it's also a scene that never made it in the 1993 movie. Regardless, this scene in Rebirth was intense, and it does have that Jurassic Park feel to it. Also, this goes to show that you should never underestimate T-Rexes, as they can be dangerous both on land and in the water. The only issue I have would be the beginning of the scene where the T-Rex vanished way too quickly after it woke up. Seriously, that T-Rex literally teleported after the viewing of it was obstructed by that inflatable raft for 2 seconds. T-Rexes are big animals in general, and there was no way they can disappear that fast. And I know they are sneaky ambush predators, but that was ridiculous. Although that one was just getting some water before he spotted the family. And now, on to the parts I disliked about the movie, and there's several of them. Wasted potential on Velociraptor. When I saw the render of this new Velociraptor individual, I was hyped, and plus, the design is reminiscent to the male Velociraptors from Jurassic Park 3. However, when I finally saw the movie during my vacation in Chicago, I was let down. So, what happened? Well, there's a scene where Xavier lollygags into the woods to take a pee, and while that happens, he was stalked by 2 of these raptors. However, before they jump on him, a Mutodon pops out of nowhere and brutally murders one of the 2 raptors, leaving the other raptor to escape. And afterwards, we never see any more new Velociraptors ever again. Not even proper close-up shots of them. Yeah, I guess the Mutodons are supposed to be the main raptors of the movie, considering they are hybrids of a raptor, but come on! This movie wasted its poor dinosaur, and that was so underwhelming. I don't hate the Mutodons, and I can absolutely count them as raptors. I just would have loved to see more of this new Velociraptor rather than just seeing it being treated like nothing more than cannon fodder. This individual is the raptor with the least amount of screen time compared to all the other raptors in the previous movies. Another issue I have with this movie is the lack of herbivores and danger with them. Now, we do see some herbivores on screen, such as Titanosaurus, Parasaurolophus, who's sadly just a corpse, Ankylosaurus, and Aqualops. There was also an Apatosaurus that was seen dying in New York. Unfortunately, the dinosaur roster feels slightly lacking in this movie and a bit unbalanced. It's traditional to introduce new dinosaurs in a new Jurassic movie, so why not bring in a bit more new herbivore dinosaurs in this movie? Plus, the movie could have had some parts where we could see different kinds of herbivores doing their own thing in the background. Oh, and it also has that annoying cliche of harmless herbivores, and we never get to see one single herbivore purposely attack any of the characters. Pretty much all the other animals that went after the characters eat meat. With some of the previous movies, they at least showed how dangerous plant eaters can be. Sarah in The Lost World nearly got killed by stegos, a Paki rammed into someone through a vehicle, an angry Triceratops destroyed a campsite, a scared Ankylosaur hit a gyrosphere in Jurassic World after getting spooked by Indominus Rex, a Stygimoloch went on a rampage in a room full of people in Fallen Kingdom, Claire had to escape from a blind, aggressive Therizinosaurus in Dominion. Remember, eating plants doesn't automatically mean harmless. The same thing applies to today's animals. Dolores didn't bother me because it was a small, adorable animal befriending Isabella when given food. Titanosaurus, I let that go as well, since this was supposed to be the moment for the characters, especially Dr. Henry Loomis, where they witnessed the beauty and wonders of dinosaurs. Considering the existence of mutant/hybrid dinosaurs, I would have liked to see a mutated herbivore in action to stomp on that harmless herbivore cliche. No pun intended. In fact, during the intro, I briefly saw a two-headed Triceratops inside a tank. It's such a darn shame that the dangerous ones were restricted to just those that can eat you up. Now this next one here is more of a pet peeve than a strong dislike, but it's still worth mentioning because it annoyed me a bit. Calling pterosaurs and marine reptiles dinosaurs. So in the beginning of the movie, it is mentioned that the mission is to collect 3 different dino DNA samples to help find a cure for heart disease. Titanosaurus is one of them. But then when they mentioned Quetzalcoatlus and Mosasaurus, they were called dinosaurs. But wait, it gets worse. Dr. Henry Loomis is supposed to be a paleontologist in this movie, yet he called Quetzalcoatlus and Mosasaurus dinosaurs. I wish I was joking. I am not a paleontologist, but if I were him, I would have said the 3 biggest prehistoric creatures, not the 3 biggest dinosaurs. Titanosaurus is a dinosaur. Quetzalcoatlus is a flying reptile, while Mosasaurus is a marine reptile. Not every single prehistoric animal is a dinosaur. And as for anything else, there's one more small thing. This movie has the same problem as Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, where something feels missing. I feel like it was originally going to show more than what was presented in the final cut of the movie. Also, the fact that the 2-headed raptor was replaced with a 2-headed Mutodon didn't help at all, considering Velociraptor got completely wasted. I heard talks about potentially a director's cut of this movie, and if Dominion can provide the extended cut on Blu-ray, then Rebirth can potentially do the same thing as well. I don't know at this point, honestly. Also, I would have liked to see more Distortus Rex and its history. Now, you might be wondering, any scenes that caught you off guard? Yes, there's a few. One scene that caught me off guard would be when a group of fishermen open up a large net full of fish and a head of a Dunkleosteus falls out. Seeing that made me wonder what other prehistoric aquatic creatures are out there besides that thing and the Mosasaurus. I was told that if there was Dunkleosteus, then there could be a possibility of the existence of Megalodon, which is terrifying. Another scene that caught me off guard would be towards the end of the movie where the Distortus Rex gets to live another day rather than get killed off. You'd think there would be a final epic battle at the end of the movie between Distortus Rex and either the Spinosaurus gang or the T-Rex. However, much like the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3, Distortus Rex survives and still lives. Which means he's still out there wandering around on that island. On the subject of Distortus Rex, I got one more scene that caught me off guard. So Henry tries to get a helicopter to make a landing so that everybody can get off the island, and just when you think there's some hope for that, Distortus pops out holding the helicopter and completely obliterates it. When I saw that happening, I was just all like, Jiminy Crickets, how big is this creature? And I'm not gonna lie, that scene was terrifying. Finally, my favorite scenes for the movie. The river raft scene and seeing Isabella befriend Dolores was definitely some of my favorite scenes. But there's more. So Xavier admits to being a lazy guy and refuses to help with the sailing, but then when he sees his girlfriend Teresa fall overboard, he did not hesitate to jump into the ocean to save her, even though there was a giant mosasaurus and a group of Spinos in the water with them. Watching the characters trying to survive being hunted down by the Mutodons was fun and intense, and it's pretty clear some parts were callbacks to the kitchen scene from Jurassic Park. I'm still salty with what Rebirth did with Velociraptor, but the Mutodons were raptor enough for me in those sequences. And finally, one more favorite scene of mine. So, the characters go out into the long grass in search for dinosaurs, and then they come across a herd of titanosaurs doing their own thing, and two of them were even nuzzling each other. Then Henry, who's been wanting to see a dinosaur out in a natural environment, becomes super emotional while everyone else watches in awe. Mercy me, I made a huge mistake of not bringing tissues with me when I saw this movie. I didn't think I was gonna cry, but then when that scene popped up, especially that music, I was friggin' bawling. This scene was absolutely beautiful. Dinosaurs have been around for eons before their extinction, and we've learned about them through their bones and watched them come to life in movies and shows. Imagine a scenario where you did all that, but then later on, you come face to face with a living, breathing dinosaur in their natural home, just doing their own thing. It's surely enough to take your breath away. This scene also reminds me of me being a little kid, because I watched the original Jurassic Park for the first time when I was 5 years old, and I was one of those kids who wanted to see a living dinosaur. I am so sure that if I were in Henry's position in that scene, there's no doubt in my mind that I'll be bawling my eyes out. It is sad that the dinosaurs are long gone, but their legacy has multiple ways of living on. To conclude, Rebirth is really not that bad. It will never top with the original Jurassic Park, and it has bits and pieces that were left a lot to be desired, but there's still enjoyment to it, and it's still a movie I don't mind revisiting at all. The future of this franchise is concerning, even though Rebirth is its own movie, and ideas will run out eventually, but no matter what happens, it's not going to stop me from liking Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. This movie had several missed opportunities, lack of depth in some spots, and needing more space for screen time with some animals including Velociraptor and Distortus Rex. But this movie has lovely music, intense and fun scenes, scary imagery, passable characters, and a simple but effective story mixed in with more sci-fi. Jurassic World Rebirth shall earn a 7.7 out of 10 sickle claws. That concludes my review on this movie. I do have plans on doing more drawing progress videos once I'm ready, and I will be doing one with Distortus Rex. He's going to be a challenge though, but I'm sure I can pull it off. And I still have plans on doing my own redesign of him as well when the time comes. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later in another video.